Well, everything's fine. I want to stay home.
Oh yeah, that's fine. After I came back, after you told me that, I went back and told her, I think it's 3105. Well, she couldn't find it, just I'd already checked it in. Yeah, exactly. So then when she looked up the room number, she said, oh yeah. She was having a hard time trying to get it. I said, what? That 95 coming down there is just a disaster.
And then it's just a football game, the Redskins. Then if Maryland's playing the University of
Don't worry, I'll leave you out.
Well, yeah, you do.
When we empty one of those bags, you put those tickets in the bags and drop them back.
John, you can put those in the bag, she said. Oh, when they're empty.
When they're empty, yeah.
Oh.
We're going to call for it. Okay. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard U.S.S. Rall. Tonight we have a genuine.
She's just listening.
What do you want to say?
Nothing. Sarah's not saying anything.
No, I lost my train of thought. I'll read it. Oh, we're going to have a genuine, bona fide Texas barbecue.
When?
It's a tough crowd.
We got a whole Okay.
Yes.
Everything in Texas is bigger, and Sarah might even give you a joke about how big things are in Texas. But I hope during the happy hour, which we just had, because it is 7 o'clock, even though my wife says 6, and I hope you made some friends. Maybe you imbibed a little bit. These gentlemen over here would love to say something. So get ready for a real, genuine, bona fide Texas barbecue. Now I ask you please to stand. And Paul Belkey will give us an invocation.
Let us pray. We thank you, Lord, for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us. We ask you to please take special care of all of our shipmates who were killed in action, and for those who have since passed on and have entered into your heavenly kingdom. We ask you to reunite our nation, to bless all our military, and to keep them out of harm's way. We also ask to bless us, O Lord, for these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bounty, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
It is, please be seated. Please be seated. What I would like to, right now, it is my privilege to introduce our special guest tonight, Colonel Bachelet, and his lovely wife, Terry. Colonel Bachelet will be our guest speaker tonight, but I'm going to ask to put that off right now so that we could go ahead with the banquet and enjoy the banquet. And after the banquet, we'll continue. And so don't, you know, sometimes you eat a little bit and you get a little drowsy. That's naughty. That's naughty. So, I think we should start with the table back here.
Oh, I do too.
Hit the chow lines. Oh, no. He wants to start you over on this side.
All these little one-liners.
Right. What?
Make a face. And then barbecue since yesterday.
Are you coming to?
I never saw any resentment, which you think might be there.
We had hush puppies and coleslaw. Oh, wow.
I enjoyed Asia. Europe,
We had
we are, they speak a different.
I have never done that. They take that whole thing and bread. Yeah.
Documentary by John Duffy in honor of his father. Thank you, John.
Yes, you're welcome.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, Colonel Bachelet, will you join me, please?
Yes.
Well, anyway, let me tell you what I know about the Colonel.
You've been talking to Dennis, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Colonel Allen W. Bachelet was commissioned a lieutenant of artillery with a Bachelor of Science degree upon graduation from Iowa State University in 1983. That's the year I retired, by the way. He holds 2 master's degrees from the Command and General Staff College and a master's from the United States Army War College. His military education includes numerous additional advanced courses from the United States Army Command and General Staff College, the School for Advanced Military Studies, and the United States Army War College. Colonel Bachelet has served in a variety of command and staff assignments in the continental United States and overseas. His first assignment was to the 1st Armored Division in the Federal Republic of Germany. He had commands during Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm, returning from these operations in 1991. From June 1992-93, he served as aide-de-camp to the Commanding General of the 1st Cavalry Division. Colonel Bachelet completed advanced studies at Fort Leavenworth, that's in Kansas.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's funny about that?
We thought you were alluding to something.
Okay. He returned to Germany as Chief of Plans for the 3rd Infantry Division. Following completion of a tour at the War College in 2001, he served on the Joint Staff for Information Operations. His decorations include the Bronze Star, and he has so many other awards. We can't name, we don't have time to name them all. Okay? He recently returned from Iraq as the 4th Infantry Division Fires Brigade Commander. Not sure exactly what that means. So we can expect some personal experience and boots on the ground discussion about how the war's going over there. And I have learned that boots on the ground, that's the grunt.
That's right.
That's the guy that's winning the war for us. I was informed just as we came up tonight that the Colonel is a promotable candidate for General. Let me tell you, that is something to be very, very proud of. Very, very proud of. Colonel Bachelet, you have our undivided attention. There is one thing I have to say. In the Navy, we hate neckties.
Yeah.
And we don't care much for jackets.
I'll leave the tie on, I'll take off the jacket.
Very good.
I want to see all of the rainbow.
Very good.
Mostly from just perseverance, that's what they're from.
I guess I'll grab
Ready
it.
for me?
I'll grab a seat here. It's all yours.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna.
And I think you have a receptive audience.
Dennis told me I had 2 minutes, so I'm gonna get really fast. Thanks for, first off, it is a real honor to be asked. Dennis and I have been friends with Connie, and Dennis for quite a while. Our sons grew up together, sort of, in between Army assignments, and got to know them. They're great people, and it was a real honor when he asked me. He asked me early on in the spring, in fact, I think it was early summer maybe, about coming up here, and I was really honored that he was able to extend that invitation to me. I'll give you just a little bit more about myself if you're interested. My wife Terry and I have been married just 25 years here this summer. We grew up together in a small town in Iowa, and that's where I'm headed tomorrow, as a matter of fact. My brother's getting married. He's a Baptist minister in Minnesota, and we're headed up there to attend his wedding. And he told me a story, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but brothers would never tell tell their brother something that wasn't true. He's a Baptist minister, and he's been preaching now for about 7 or 8 years, and he had this very small Iowa church that very dedicated people attending his congregation. One gentleman in particular was there every Sunday, year after year, and would come and sit in the front row, never missed, very faithful. But unfortunately, as soon as my brother would start the sermon, he'd go to sleep immediately, just out like a light. And my brother's appreciative of him being there. He's a great example for the rest of the congregation. But finally, he lost his patience with this older gentleman, and he finally just decided he was going to have to teach him a lesson. So one Sunday, they do the invocation, and they have the opening hymn, and the choir sings, and my brother gets ready to start his sermon, and sure enough, he's out. And so 2, 3, 4 minutes into the sermon, he stops and he says very quietly to the congregation, he says, "Everybody that wants to go to heaven, stand up." Of course, there isn't anybody going to miss that invitation. They're all standing up. "Okay, thank you. Sit back down." So they all sit back down. And then top of his lungs, he hollers, "Everybody that wants to go to hell, stand up!" Well, of course, it startled the old gentleman. He's right there in the front row. He jumps to his feet. He looks around, and he says, "Preacher, I don't know what we're voting for, but you and I are the only ones for it." What he taught me about that was to make sure you don't take yourself too seriously when you're talking to a crowd. Things may not turn out exactly the way you want them. It's a real honor. Really, it is an honor to be part of you all tonight. My uncle served on the U.S.S. Ticonderoga, and he was. I hear his stories about. In fact, I'm going to get to see him. He's 85 this year, 86 I think, and the Ticonderoga was in Tokyo Bay when the Japanese signed the surrender agreement, and he wasn't there. He could see kind of what was going on there on the Missouri, but he wasn't really part of the ceremony. But I've always enjoyed hearing his stories, so I'm going to get a chance to see him tomorrow. My father we grew up in a small town in Iowa, and my father never served in World War II, but he went to Korea. So we have sort of a history of military service. I ended up in the Army because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do while I was in college. But it's been a great career. I've been enlisted initially, and I've been on active duty now for 26 years. And it's been a great way to make a living and to serve. Take a lot of enjoyment and a lot of pleasure out of it, as I'm sure you all do too, or you wouldn't be here tonight. I'm just going to take a few minutes and give you a quick update on what's going on in Iraq, I think is what Dennis asked me to do. And then I'm not going to talk very long, and if you want to ask questions, I found that's probably the easiest way to do it. Now, if you're interested in something in particular, I can talk to you about it. I do serve in the 4th Infantry Division. I'm currently the Chief of Staff. That means the commanding general is a 2-star general. The Chief of Staff is kind of like the Chief Operating Officer. He tells us what he wants done, and I'm the one that's responsible for making sure that everybody's rowing in the right direction and gets the mission accomplished that he gives us. So that's kind of the role I serve. Came back in November, and we're getting ready to go again. We leave probably in about 60 days from today, as a matter of fact. I think I'll be on an airplane headed back to Baghdad, which is where the 4th Infantry Division's at. I spent a year there in Baghdad from 05 to 06. My message to you would be, regardless of your politics, we are making a difference over there. There are people's lives. The Iraqis' lives are being improved vastly, and you don't always see that, I don't think, in the press. But the one message I wanted to leave with you is I am your legacy. For those of you that served on the Rall, and I guess there's plank holders here tonight, I've learned a little bit about the Navy. I've got more Marine friends than I do Navy friends, but I know it's a big deal to be a plank holder, and that's quite an honor. And I extend my congratulations to you for your service, because you've kind of blazed the trail for those of us that are serving today as a great example. And I know probably you've all read The Greatest Generation, or at least are aware of it. But I wanted to offer something to you that if not your sons and grandsons, granddaughters serving today, most of the Army today, and in fact this is true for almost all the services, but the Army in particular, your grandsons and daughters, most of them came on active duty after September 11th, 2001. Because, you know, everybody enlists for 2-3 years. If you think about it, the vast majority of the Army, your grandsons and daughters volunteered when they knew their nation was at war, and they knew what that meant. Unlike yourselves, perhaps, and not to be disrespectful of your service, I think most of you are probably draftees, these young men and women are volunteering to come on active duty. And to me, that's very humbling. I'm in a position of having to lead them and make decisions that put them in harm's way. And it's amazing to me that they're willing to do that there are people that are out there that are still willing to sacrifice for their country. It's because of folks like you all who set that example, frankly, or they wouldn't do it, because they've been brought up in a manner that's respectful and patriotic, and they understand where their freedoms come from. So thanks to you for that, because they wouldn't do it. No amount of money could make them do that, especially at a time of war. They're doing very, very well, very well. Day to day, I know you don't see a lot of positive things in the press, at least I don't. I look for those kind of things, but the sacrifices they're making are making a difference. The country is one that's pretty amazing. I've had a chance to go to Babylon. For those of you who might be, know a little bit about your Bible history, Babylon and Ur. You know, Moses was reportedly walked the streets of Ur initially. Kind of Mesopotamia is where the civilization sort of started. And that's a very humbling thing. Is it's a very important country as far as that region is concerned, and our way of life depends on us getting this right. Regardless of why we got there, how we got there, what the motivations were, we're kind of there whether we like it or not at this point. And in my view, we've got to get it right. And over 3,600 soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines of all services, and they have sacrificed their, given their lives for that. And I personally think that I've got a lot invested, and I don't like to lose. And I think this is something that we really need to win. And our way of life depends on that, frankly. You might think that it's about oil. In some respects, that's true. It is about oil, but it's really more about our way of life and getting some stability to a region that really has never had an opportunity for their people to enjoy democracy and human rights. The country was very neglected. When you hear about your tax dollars, which I understand could be used somewhere else. Americans are very generous people, and you all know that. And that your sacrifice in World War II is reflective of that also. We gave a lot of blood and treasure to make the world a better place for those that have followed on. I would tell you, Iraq's pretty significant. The implications over there for that region, if we don't get it stable, there is the potential to cause some significant turmoil around the world. And we all know that we have our own challenges at home, but personally, I think now that we're there, we've really got to see this thing through. It is better. Baghdad in particular is a city of 7 million people. It's divided mostly by religion. For those of you that follow, they're all Arabs. The people are Arabs. The Iranians are not Arabs. It's kind of a complicated situation to follow, but the Iranians are Persian, and the Iraqis don't particularly care for the Persians because they're Arab. Unfortunately, they're divided by religion. Their own religion is split into two, the Shia and the Sunni. You may have heard some discussion about that, and I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence, but that's kind of the crux of the problem right now, is getting that conflict between the Shia and the Sunni resolved. That's really where we're at. And we're there to try and give them that opportunity. And like I was talking to Dennis about tonight, the government is where this has to happen. Prime Minister Maliki and the Council of Representatives, they have got to resolve their differences in a peaceful manner at that level, at the national level, or this thing's never going to get fixed. And I think we've pretty much told them they've got about another year or so. You've all heard about the surge. The surge Those soldiers are going to be coming home late this summer, the next summer here in '08. Their time will be up and they'll come back, and we're going to go back down to a much smaller number of soldiers on the ground. And the message that Ambassador Crocker has delivered to the Prime Minister is that if they don't get this right, then America's pulling out. So they've got about a year to 12 months to get this straight, and then we're going to leave the area. Now, you all understand that we will not leave. I mean, we are not all coming home. We just can't afford to do that. We'll just back out a little bit. We always have forces in Kuwait. We have forces, in other parts of the region. So when we talk about coming home, we're not coming home, everybody. We're going to be there for a good bit. We have to be, or the region could really explode. So we're going to be there for a good long while. But the majority of the folks will come home. The majority of the soldiers will come back, starting sometime next summer. There's 15 brigades over there. That doesn't probably mean much to you. We talked about the Fires Brigade. A brigade is about 3,500 people. Right now there are 20 of them, and we're going to go down to 15 in the next summer. And that doesn't count all the support folks. It takes a lot of people to keep all that going. War is very inefficient. It's very expensive, as I know you understand. But that's kind of where we're at. And I would tell you that the American soldiers have a huge heart. They every day you watch them. Folks just like you send over tons and tons of humanitarian kind of things. Orphanages are being adopted by different units. Kids do school fund drives, and send over all kinds of things to papers and pencils and backpacks, and it's amazing the amount of support that we get. And every day when those soldiers roll out the gate, they are taking things with them to deliver to the Iraqi kids and the women in particular. The men are very, there's a lot of, I won't say distrust, but it's important to maintain face and honor in Iraq if you're an Iraqi male. It's a very male-dominated society, and they're not always very receptive to someone handing them something. But the women and children in particular are very receptive to that. And I think that's where we're making a big difference. When you can impact a young child's life, that has an impact that'll pay off years down the road. But your soldiers go out the gate every day, and they take those things with them, and they stop, and they have conversation with the Iraqis, and pass those kind of things out. What they face most dangerously is IEDs. You've all heard about those. Very unpredictable. Unfortunately, the economy is so bad, and I was talking to the folks at the table here a minute ago. The infrastructure there was neglected for 40 years, and the people just don't have anything. And they'll be paid $50 to go out and put out an IED. Now, they don't really care who that IED hurts. All they know is that they have $50 now that they can take home, and they can take care of their family. And it's a big deal for the men in the family to take care of their wives and children. It is a huge disgrace if you aren't capable of providing for your family. And so they're forced in a lot of ways to go out and do those kind of activities in order just to take care of their families. It's getting better. We're getting jobs going, and there's a bus factory that just opened just south of Baghdad not too long ago. In fact, Harley-Davidson just let a contract to have some of their parts. If anybody rides a Harley, some of your parts are going to come from a factory south of Baghdad here very soon, because Harley-Davidson gave them a contract to start working on some of their engine parts. They're going to get them from there. So you don't hear about that much either, and I'll just mention that one time and open up for questions. But a lot of American companies are very, very patriotic, but they're very quiet about it. Companies like Harley-Davidson, AT&T, IBM have donated huge amounts of material, expertise. They've sent people over. The city of Austin have sent their city planners and the folks that help make that city work, like their sewerage folks and their power. Those kind of people have come over and done classes and trained the Iraqis on how to take care and operate their city. Baghdad's a city of 7 million. So it has all the same problems that a regular city of 7 million would have that you would expect. So there's a lot of that going on too that you just don't, it's frustrating for me. I suspect you can hear the frustration in my voice a little bit about that you don't hear about that good news that's coming out of the country. But we are making progress, and I'm very hopeful. General Petraeus's comments were, I think, very good. You know, cautious optimism is kind of the way he phrased it, and I think that we are making a difference, and there is some light at the end of the tunnel. You know, war, as you all know, is very unpredictable. So to say when there would be an end is very difficult to say, but we are making some progress, and I think for the right reasons. So that's kind of where I'm at. It'd probably be easier if I just took some questions from y'all. Yes.
I have two. One, if the men over there
Just like this.
are interested in supporting their families, wouldn't we be far better ahead to give them $50 a month and know they're not getting IEDs to use against us?
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
money's money.
Yes, absolutely. And you know yes. You know, the short answer is you're exactly right. The thing is, though, they are very. It's an odd society. They won't. If you're a garbage collector, for example, they won't do anything less than drive the truck because it's beneath their dignity to be the one that actually is out picking up the trash. So you have
Who
to
does that?
you have to work. Well, prior to when Saddam Hussein was in charge, they brought in Pakistanis, they brought in Filipinos, they brought in people from other nationalities all over. In fact, that's the way Saudi Arabia works. Frankly, you know, if you're a real Saudi Arabian, you don't work. The royal family is hundreds of thousands of cousins that are all connected, and they're very, very wealthy. They don't work. They bring in Filipinos, and in particular Filipinos, Pakistanis come in, Indians from all over the world come and do the work for those people. All the roads in Iraq were built by Germans. Every last one of them. They have phenomenal roads. If anyone's been to Germany and driven on the Autobahn, you would be amazed. The roads in Iraq look just like German Autobahns, and there's a reason for that. The Germans built them. The Chinese were there under Saddam Hussein, built almost all of the big buildings, the major facilities that are downtown in Baghdad were built by Chinese because they have this culture of it's beneath their dignity. They'll do certain things. So to find the thing that will resonate with them from a cultural perspective, that they can have enough honor to say that this is what I do for a living, is very difficult. So, and we're trying to get that, get that started. The other piece of it is, under Hussein, they were taken care of completely. You didn't have to work. Very few Iraqi men actually worked. They all get a stipend. Even today, every person in your family gets, and I'll get it wrong, but it's about $50 worth of food that you go down once a month. The women go down, and they have the food distribution day to these huge warehouses, and the government provides them flour and rice and cooking oil and kerosene for their stoves and that sort of thing. And you get an allocation for every person in your family. You have to have a ration card. Probably sounds familiar to many of you. And they show up with that ration card, and then that's handed to them. So there's not a real culture of individualism, wanting to get ahead and making a difference like we would recognize. And it's very hard to understand when you talk to them, but that's the way they've grown up, and that's their culture. So some of them are willing to work. The women in particular, when it comes to setting aside that culture, are the first ones that will take a job that we offer them, regardless of what it might be. And if it's out picking up trash in the streets, they're there. If it means a job, they're willing to set that aside. The men, they'll sit back at the cafe and bum cigarettes, and their women will be out doing the work because to them it's taking care of their children. But the men, that's beneath their dignity. So we're gaining though. We are working, like I've mentioned, that some of the factories are starting to come back into operation, and they'll work in a factory. That's there's enough dignity involved with that it's not beneath them. So.
Okay, well, my other question is, we were discussing this the other day in the hospitality room. Let's just say we go out today and we kill 5,000 of the people who are fighting against us.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like that was great. Of course, they killed 1,000 of ours in the meantime. But these people that are fighting against us seem to come from Turkey and Syria and Iran, etc.
Yeah, they sure do.
You can't seem to stop that flow, and when these 20 to 30-year-old men are now gone, the 16-year-olds and the 12-year-olds, they're still coming in. How do you ever stop it?
Yeah, the good news about that is this is what really complicates this fight that's over there. Those foreign fighters that are coming in are primarily associated with Al-Qaeda, almost exclusively.
But they're there.
But they are there. They are there. But I will tell you, we almost have them defeated. You'll see this in the press very soon. We just killed a very significant leader. If it hasn't, it might have been in the paper today.
Last week, I think.
Yeah, he's been dead for a few days, but we don't let that out right away. Well, I would tell you that's slowing down significantly. And you hear about the reconciliation efforts that are going on. The Iraqis themselves, the Sunnis, Al-Qaeda is Sunni. All right, so when you hear Al-Qaeda, they're of the Sunni background, the Sunni version of Islam. Saudi Arabia is Sunni. What's his name? Bin Laden came from Saudi Arabia. He's a member of the royal family. Okay, they're the ones that are really stirring up most of the trouble. And initially, over the last couple of years, they're the ones that have been getting the Sunni Iraqis to side with them. Well, what the local Iraqi Sunnis have finally come around to understand is that those Al-Qaeda members really don't have their best interests in mind. Al-Qaeda wants to establish a caliphate, for those of you that follow all that. The 12th Imam is in hiding in Iran. He's reportedly in a well, waiting to be, he's the hidden Imam. He's never died. And he's waiting to reappear at some point and establish the caliphate. Al-Qaeda in Iraq has come out and said that the caliphate now exists, that they have established it. Part of making that Imam, the 12th Imam, reappear is that there has to be such violence and anarchy that it's bad enough for him to come and bring peace to everyone. So they believe they have to keep things stirred up as much as possible and make as much turmoil as possible so he'll come back. That's their rationale. The Sunnis in Anbar, where most of the Sunnis are, the Iraqi Sunnis, have had enough. And we pick it up and destroy it as fast as we can. But it's commonplace to see children running around with an AK-47 that they'll have found somewhere, and we'll give them a few dollars for it and take it away from them. It works for a little while, and then they'll find some more. But artillery shells and bombs from aircraft, they're all over the place. It's just bizarre.
Why doesn't the Betty tell us? They're not powerful.
Well, they're Baathists. Saddam Hussein was a Baathist. Syria is Baathist. That's a political party. That's not a religion. So, and they still hold out some hope of regaining power. The Baathists do. Well, Syria is backing them. Saddam Hussein's daughter went to Syria. She's still there. Syria doesn't really care for us all that much. The Israelis just dropped a bomb on what was reportedly the beginnings of a nuclear weapon that Syria was building. I don't know if you all managed to see that. It was kind of quiet in the paper. We didn't make too big a deal about that. That just happened about a month ago. So, but they're still kind of on the fringes. They're not really very strong, but they still hold out some hope that maybe there's some way they could get back in power. They're really not a threat. They're just kind of another piece of what makes everything so complicated. What else?
I want to thank you for sharing your views with us because it really gives probably a more realistic perspective, which is difficult to get. Obviously the media wants to sensationalize things and it's always awfulism. So I don't know if there's a source that the American citizens can get real information.
Yeah, that's really tough. People ask me that. There are some reporters that are very objective about what they see over there, and we screw up. I wish I could admit, the Army's perfect and the Marines are perfect, and we're not. We make mistakes. As proud as I am of some of our soldiers and Marines, you've read in the paper about people being court-martialed, but we hold our people to we have a moral high ground about all that. But you don't see those kind of stories because it doesn't sell papers. It doesn't look good on the front of USA Today. And I personally met quite a few reporters that are very committed to telling exactly what's going on. And some of it is ugly. The thing that I would caution you about, and I don't mean to lecture you about how you read the paper, but they're all snapshots. And they're just one little data point in time. So you have to take all of it, as many different sources as you can get and kind of draw your own conclusions. That's what I would encourage you to do. If you look for some different sources, maybe don't always just go to the same paper or watch the same news show at night. That'll make a difference, I think, personally. Some of them are very good. Kimberly Dozier, if some of you have heard her name, I had lunch with her the day that she was almost killed. She rode out and she was very aggressive about trying to find the right story. She was right downtown Baghdad when the IED went off that killed her cameraman, severely injured her, and oddly enough, I just had lunch with her the day that she went out to do that. Bob Woodworth, he had a very objective story that he was doing, and of course, now he frankly made a very poor decision, in my view, about why he ended up getting hurt. He was coached not to be standing up in this vehicle he was riding in, and he chose to do it because he wanted to get a better view of what was going on, and it almost cost him his life, and it clearly cost him his job. His job as the leading newscaster there. I can't remember what it's NBC or ABC, I'm not sure which one it was, but yeah, he was fortunate to survive that. But there are some reporters out there that are very, very good, and there are some that have they have agendas. But
So what's a win gonna look like?
I think a win looks like a stable government in Iraq without the Iranians are going to have influence, but not to the point where they're calling the shots. That you really have kind of an independent Iraq. I think it's going to be federated of some sort. Personally, right now they still would like to see a unified national, very strong national government, along the parliamentarian system. I don't think you're going to see that. I haven't talked to you about the Kurds, but frankly, the Kurds in the north, they're their own country. No matter what anybody tells you, those people are very organized, they're very prosperous, and they do not resemble the rest of Iraq. Now that
They
makes...
don't fight you,
No, the Kurds do not fight us. They absolutely do not.
but they don't help you.
They do to some extent. They do to some extent. They're a very good buffer against the Iranians in the north, frankly. But the Kurds are very westernized. They are Christian. They're Greek Orthodox Christian. So there are some Muslim communities inside the Kurds, but that's a very well organized region, and for all intents and purposes, it's its own country. No one wants to say that. They have their own flag. They call themselves Kurdistan. Politically, we can't talk about that, but that's the case. It makes the Turks very nervous. 1/3 of Turkey, for those of you that are familiar with geography, 1/3 of Turkey is Kurds, made up of Kurds. The entire eastern third of Turkey is Kurdish. They are not Turks. So that makes the Turks very nervous. And the Kurds have a lot of oil. Up just north of Kirkuk in north, there's a huge oil field. Probably about 20% of all of the Iraqi oil is underground where the Kurds control. But they are definitely on our side. They are very pro-Western, and they very much like Americans. We've saved them more than once. You might have, right after Desert Shield and Desert Storm, some huge efforts to protect the Kurds, and they're very grateful of that. And they understand that they need America's backing, so they're pretty supportive. But I think you're going to see a country that's divided into three, essentially. Kurdistan in the north, you'll have something, whatever it ends up being called, in Anbar, which is the western part of the country. And there is oil there, more than the Sunnis are upset because that's where they live. Out in Fallujah, you've all heard of Fallujah numerous times, Ramadi, that area. There is actually oil out there. Not as much as they'd like, but there's some there. And then you'll have, I think the Shia will kind of be in Baghdad and down to the south. The Tigris and Euphrates River, these are really phenomenal stuff if you're a historian of any sort. I mean, this is a cradle of civilization. And to the east side of the Euphrates, that's kind of where the Shia start, and that river on the other side is Sunni. And that river, the Tigris-Euphrates River Valley, kind of divides them up. Very, very intriguing stuff. But of course, conflict there goes back thousands of years. It's never been a very peaceful place. But we need it to be. If we're not going to become self-reliant as far as energy is concerned, we need that region to stay stable, or it'll have impact across the entire, the entire world economy depends on stability there. And little, not, class of civilizations, depending on your view, there is something to be said for that, between the struggle between Christianity and Islam. And we won't have to go down that road, but some of us have pretty strong feelings about that, and I would tell you it's something about that too. There's a little of that going on. The Kurds play that card a lot. They view themselves as standing in the gap between Western civilization and Islam. They view themselves as kind of the guardians of the gate, because historically the invasion route into Europe went through Turkey, and the Kurds view themselves as being those folks that are standing watch against the spread of Islam. They're very proud people.
So Turkey could lose half its country if the Kurds decided.
It could easily. Yeah, it could easily. The best thing going for us in Turkey is the military. The army is very strong. If you followed that in the paper recently, there was their prime minister, there was a man named Ataturk, who kind of started modern Turkey. He was very secular. He was a Muslim, but he was very secular, and he believed in democracy, and he built a very strong military as a counter to the religious influence, the Muslim religious influence inside Turkey. About a year ago, the Islamic prime minister tried to change some laws and make religion more of the driving force inside the country, and the army general said not going to happen. So he kind of tamped them back down. So we do a lot to try and keep the Turkey military strong for that reason. You know, the simplest way to put it is their place is a mess. It's really something else. I mean, everywhere you turn, there's another problem. It's a little bit like whack-a-mole. Anybody ever play that game? When when my kids were growing up, we put a quarter in the machine and have to hit the moles or the little chipmunks or whatever that popped out of the ground. It seemed like they're whacking those things all over the place, trying to tamp them down. A little bit like that. What else? Anything else?
I got a quick, just a comment, and you can comment on it. I told you the story of Patrick going back on the medevac, back from the and flew into Fort Hood, and we got an opportunity to talk to some of our wounded warriors out there. He was impressed with the fact that every one of them said that all they want to do is go back to their buddies.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good story that needs to get out to people.
Yeah. The amount of the dedication, and well, like you all right here tonight, after all these years, the camaraderie that you built, you understand what that sense of brotherhood and shared sacrifice is all about. Soldiers today are no different, and they develop very deep bonds with one another, and that's why they fight. I mean, they might join the army out of patriotism, out of the right thing to do. Some of them just because they need a job. Not very many, but there are some like that. And but after we've had them for a little while, they develop some very strong bonds and a real sense of purpose in what they're doing, and they feel very strongly about that. And it will just bring you to your knees. My wife goes down to the hospital there in San Antonio. Brooke Army Medical is just a phenomenal facility. All you heard, I know you've all heard about Walter Reed, and it's very unfortunate that things that have happened there. There was no excuse for it. It wasn't nearly as bad as maybe the press made it out to be, but it wasn't good. It was not acceptable, and they have made great strides in getting that fixed. But the Brooke Army Medical Center down in San Antonio is just world class, and I would tell you, you'd be very proud of the way your wounded warriors are being treated. I mean, the government is sparing no expense. VA system's a different one. You probably know better than I do about that. But the active duty folks are really, really being taken care of well, and we have nothing to be ashamed about as far as that's concerned. They are phenomenally at Bowling Air Force Base. If that's one of the entry points, regardless of the time or day, I think you'd be proud to know about this too. When deceased soldiers arrive, there is a very strong contingent that meets them there. They're in dress greens, and they have honor guards, and they are treated with the utmost respect. And people volunteer to go do that duty, and there is no shortage of soldiers, sailors, or airmen that are willing to go out there and meet the returning fallen soldiers. So that happens all around the country. It's amazing. Some of you, I'm sure some of you have seen the stories here in Texas. Some of these small towns, they line the streets for miles when some of their fallen soldiers come home. So there's a real strength in America here yet today. I'm convinced of it.
We do that in Montana.
There's been some wonderful stories about absolutely, and some really bad weather too, I'm told.
Do you have misgivings about going back?
I'm not excited about it. Not really, but that's what I do. You know, I'm a soldier. About to leave my family again. My daughter's her senior year in high school, so I'm going to miss that. She's the captain of her swim team, and I'm hoping to be home in time for to plan my my leave around when she's going to graduate, so I can be back for that. I've probably been gone. My wife Terry is more of a single parent in a lot of ways. I've been spent more of my time gone than I have at home. She's a very strong lady and done a wonderful job. We got our 2 kids. We're very proud of them. We worked real hard to give them a sense of belonging. It's a tough thing for a military kid. We've moved how many times? 13 times in 20-some years. About every 2 years we pack up and go somewhere. We've been the longest this time in one place. In fact, you start getting a little itchy after a while. It's like, why are we packing up? You learn to travel kind of light, but they're good kids, and she's done a wonderful job. It's been a great career. Was very, very fortunate here recently. I was blessed to be picked up to be a 1-star general, so we're going to continue doing it for a little longer. I was getting ready to retire. I've got 26 years in, but I've got an opportunity to continue to serve a little bit longer. I still like what I'm doing. But yeah, there's some trepidation about getting up and going to do that again. I'm going to be gone, we're not sure. We think maybe only 8 months, but could very well be 15. Most of your soldiers are going out for 15 months. They spend 15 months over there. And so we've got to get this fixed because the Army's not big enough. It's just not. They talked about the surge. You want to know the brutal political reality behind that. President Bush made a big deal about it. Please don't quote me as being disparaging of the Commander-in-Chief, because it's not meant to be. But the reality is, if we didn't bring those 5 brigades home, those surge brigades home, he was going to have to come out and announce that we were all just going to stay indefinitely until it was over, because there just aren't enough soldiers to keep rotating like we're doing. They're not there. The Army is only 540,000 people big, and most of it is in Iraq. And there's just, the Congress has put us in a position where everyone has to be home for at least a year, and we just can't meet that. So he was either going to have to bring those soldiers home regardless of the situation, or he was going to have to go to Congress and tell them, I can't meet this requirement, and as the Commander-in-Chief, I'm going to order them to stay longer than 15 months. That's where we were at. So, but very well equipped. If you hear rumors about that your soldiers don't have body armor and they don't have, that is just a bunch of hooey. It is just not true. Those rumors still run. I have an aunt, God bless her, she's in her almost 90, and she called me one day and said her church was doing a pillow drive to gather pillows to send over to soldiers in Iraq. I'm here to tell you, we don't need pillows. Your Army's done the government's done a great job of getting us pillows and sheets, and it's okay. We don't need that stuff. We don't need body armor. We don't need weapons. I mean, we've got everything you could possibly want over there, the best of everything. So initially that was true. Initially when this first started in OIF, we didn't have all that. And we were okay, not great. We are much better off today. Your soldiers got everything they need to protect them. The survival rate for wounded soldiers is through the roof. The bill the government's going to incur, that we all are going to bear, that burden that we're going to bear, is taking care of those folks for the long term, because they are surviving at rates far higher, and many of them with very tragic wounds, losing limbs, but they're surviving because of the equipment that we're putting them in, and they'll have fruitful lives. They may be confined to wheelchairs, or even worse in some cases, but they'll live good long lives. But that's going to be very expensive for us to take care of them. I'm biased, I think we owe them that, but they're coming home. There are very few casualties because of combat action these days.
I was going to comment on the pillows. The pictures that we keep seeing are the men and women sleeping on their helmets. So
Yeah.
those poor ladies probably thought they needed
Oh, sure, absolutely. know, and we get frustrated. You won't recognize it, but sometimes the news outlets they're a little lazy, and they'll run some picture that was really taken 3 years ago. And if you see any vehicles driving around that aren't armored, you know for a fact that was probably taken at least in '03 and maybe earlier, because we don't have anything like that over there anymore. You can't go out. We have a rule over there that you don't go out the gate to do any mission unless you're in an armored vehicle. You just don't do it. I mean, we don't subject ourselves to that. So
what kind of information is being given to our congressional leaders? Is it just the individual opinions, or everybody's getting the same information, but it's just an individual's opinion? There seems to be so much dissension in Washington.
yeah, I don't know what to attribute that to. They have the information. I mean, if they cared to be objective about it, it's a little jaded, but in my view, I think a lot of it's for political gain on their part. I can tell you here in Texas, I happen to know a couple of congressmen personally. Congressman Carter, who represents the district that Fort Hood is in. He knows. I mean, he knows what the truth is. Senator Cornyn is the senator from here, and Kay Bailey Hutchinson. I mean, there are some people that are out there that are willing to say, tell the truth about what's going on. They know. I mean, they have access to the information. I'm not sure. They all have agendas, right? I don't know. I don't take sides.
You mentioned the shortage today, in today's environment. I've got a question in relation to that shortage. If, for example, we had another contingency west,
Yeah.
North Korea, where
Right.
would we have enough troops to support that contingency?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. We wouldn't. The Air Force would be fine.
Yes.
We could do retaliation for sure. We could certainly punish, some country that got out of line. But to actually go and be on the ground and be decisive about it, no, yes, sir. Yeah, we couldn't do it. And the Chief of Staff of the Army, General Casey, is very concerned about that. He might not have seen this. It didn't get a lot of play. He did something very unusual for a Chief of Staff last week. He asked Congress if he could come and testify. Typically, they're summoned to come up there by either the House Armed Services or the Senate Armed Services Committee. He asked to go to the Hill because he wanted to share that very thought, that the Army is stretched so thin that we are at risk strategically if something else were to happen in the world. And he was just up there telling them that very thing.
What is the planning today? For 2 contingencies?
That's what's on the books.
It's 2.5.
It was 2.5. It's 2. We like to say we could do 2.
That's why I wondered about the others.
Right. No,
When you mentioned.
In other words, we're not getting very much help from
No,
other
sir.
countries.
No, sir, we're not. And the Brits are about ready to go home. They're about done.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it really is a shame. They're our best ally, bar none. Oddly enough, you don't hear much about this either, but the Australians are convinced that there is for sure, clash of civilization between Christianity and Islam. Australia is a very Christian nation, and you don't see a lot in the paper, but I would tell you from what I see, from what I've experienced, and the Australians I've talked to over there, they are very, very concerned about the influence of Islam in their region. You might not know it, but most Muslims don't live in Asia. They live in Indonesia and what's the country? India has a large population. Well, you've all seen that Burma here just recently was kicked up, but there's a little country. That part of the world has more Muslims in it actually than Asia does, and the Australians are very worried about that. New Zealanders are very worried about it too. What else? I think Connor's running out of gas.
Oh, you've done an exceptional job.
Yeah, your 2 minutes are up.
He's a good-looking young man back there, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Anything else? Well, thank you. Well, let me thank you for having me again. My wife and I were really very honored that you guys.
Men of Poseidon, Richard W. Graves. And he was a lieutenant, but he came aboard as an ensign, and he made Lieutenant J.G., and he has signed this book.
Oh, that's
He
very
had
nice.
every intention of coming and presenting this to you personally, but he wasn't physically able. So he has signed this book to you, and
Oh, that's quite an honor. I have to thank him for me.
we will certainly do that.
Yeah, thank you very
Some of
much.
these people didn't see that book, so maybe they wanted some.
Yeah, we can be
here.
glad to pass it
Just
around.
show it.
You bet.
Just show it.
All right, there's a sign-up sheet, and of course, people are leaving tomorrow. There's a
Right.
sign-up sheet in the hospitality room if you want a book.
Oh, I understand. But
Yeah.
I mean, I just say something.
Present it to him again, Bill, so I can get your picture.
That sounded like an order to me.
That's
Better take your picture, Bill,
Yes,
with, get a new
Oh,
book.
okay, there we go.
All right.
there we go.
Okay, here we, Bill, you want
Takes her a while.
Okay, now also, we have a DVD, and Dick Graves was the, what would we call him,
The writer,
the
instigator.
advisor? Okay, but we had a very professional man working on this, and he's right over here.
Stand up, mister.
He looks like he
Starts with a K. Curtis Kuczak.
Super. It looks like he's being very humble about this.
Well, he is a professional. And anyway, there's a DVD I think you'll enjoy.
Super. Thank you.
And I got one other one.
Afraid he wasn't gonna give him one.
Okay. In the Bloomin' Ivy, we had little white mugs to drink our coffee out of.
Navymen, sailors drink coffee?
That is our life.
Just checking.
That's our lifeblood. It was. And so we had, and this is not exactly a Navy mug, but we had this.
Look at that.
It says, awarded in appreciation to Colonel Allen W. Bachelet, U.S. Army, U.S.S. Rall DE 304 Reunion
Oh, that's very
2007,
nice.
Dallas. And you know, we did it on both sides.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. Well, I drink a little coffee myself, so I'll be sure to put this right on my desk. Thank you very
Excellent,
much.
excellent. Okay, well, we can't thank you enough. What do you, there you go.
Got some other presentations to make maybe, or?
We do, but what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna turn, you know, I'm not gonna turn the meeting over, but I'm gonna hand the meeting to Dennis. And
You bet.
he and Connie have a whole program planned, so the best thing I can do is sit down and get out of the way. And you'll turn the
What we ended up doing is, we've got some recognition for the distinguished soldiers of the U.S.S. Rall that we happen to, what I'd like to do is just read a couple of letters. We'll leave these letters up here for you guys to look at. We'll just kind of read through this, fairly rapidly. But, we have a letter from the White House, from actually our President Bush. He called me on my cell phone. And he really wanted to, him and Laura, the ranch is just right up the street here. They were going to fly Marine One over here, but the hotel wouldn't let them land in the parking lot. So they said that he really wanted to be here. Let me just, I send greetings to those gathered for the 2007 reunion of the U.S.S. Rall DE 304. Our men and women in uniform have triumphed over brutal enemies, liberated continents, and answered the prayers of millions around the globe. They have shown us that freedom is the most powerful force on earth and set a standard of courage and excellence that is unmatched. With selfless devotion to duty, courage in the face of danger, and unwavering valor and decency, the veterans of our armed forces have helped to advance freedom and make our nation more secure. All of us who live in liberty live in their debt. We will never forget their sacrifice and service. This event is an opportunity to renew the strong bonds and friendships forged in adversity and celebrate the proud history and achievements of the U.S.S. Rall. Your continued commitment to each other and our country is an inspiration. Laura and I send our best wishes on this special occasion. May God bless you, and may God bless our troops and veterans, and God bless America. So that's from President Bush. We also got one from the Secretary of the Navy. Greetings to the veterans of the U.S.S. Rall. On behalf of the Department of the Navy, I'm honored to send greetings to the attendees of this year's reunion. U.S.S. Rall's brief history belays the lasting contribution she and her crew made to the nation during a defining period in our history. I'm pleased that you are reuniting to share your experiences and memories with your shipmates. Please accept my best wishes for a memorial or memorable reunion. Signed, Donald C. Winter, Secretary of the Navy. So we'll put that up there.
I got one from James Forrester.
From Senator John Corn.
In the
You
40
guys
ideas.
can look at that up here. And we also have one message from the Governor of Texas here. A message from the Governor to all who served aboard the U.S.S. Rall. I am pleased to have the opportunity to extend greetings to you and your loved ones as you meet fellow veterans and their families in Dallas. As I join my fellow Texans in expressing our unwavering support to you and your families, know that we will never forget your service and the importance of the cause you have defended, a world safe for democracy. May God continue to bless America, and may God continue to watch over you. This is signed by Rick Perry, the Governor of Texas. What I would do is if Colonel Bachelet could help me out here, we've got a presentation to make for each individual crew member. What we'll do is the first guy, or the first crew member I'd like to call up here is our resident Marine here, Chuck Harp. So if you could come up here.
Come on, Chuck.
And I'll read this and then you can present it, Alan. We'll just get right near the flag here.
Is your camera getting all of it?
You can do an about face, sir.
Yeah,
Actually, you're going to outrate me pretty quick here. So.
We've got a lot in common with Marines. We were catching up earlier.
The state of Texas, to all whom these presents shall come greetings. Know you that Chuck Harp is hereby commissioned as an admiral in the Texas Navy, with all rights and privileges according to, therefore, and with the duty of assisting in the preservation of the history, boundaries, water resources, and civil defense of the state. In testimony thereof, I have hereunto signed, this sounds like a lawyer on here, signed my name and caused the seal of the state of Texas to be affixed in the city of Austin on this 26th day of September 2007. Rick Perry, Governor of Texas. So if you want to present that.
Hey, come on.
Paul Becky? Paul, you want to come up?
Thanks for your service
No,
and example.
now I forgot to tell you, but the whole Navy has got one rowboat, I think.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay, Bill Shoemake?
Thank you. I never thought I'd make Admiral.
Jerry Belton?
We've probably all impressed our mothers in one way or another, haven't we?
Oh, you bet.
Jerry, thanks for your service. Thanks for your example.
Johnny Kay?
What?
Come on,
The
Johnny.
youngest member I'm told. I don't know what I'd have done if my 16-year-old son would have run off.
Johnny, did you ever think you were going to make Admiral?
Thank you very much. Thank you for your service.
Oh, boy.
Never here by the flag.
Wow.
Thanks for your service.
Time to turn around, Sheila. Look this way. Wait a minute, go back.
She wants to get your picture.
There we go.
And again, I guess, Con, if you could come up here. The next part of our little presentation here is, if you notice in the front of your, you have a little ticket there, a coupon. And we want everybody to leave here with some kind of few memories of Texas, especially the folks who have come from all over the world, or actually all over the country here. So what Connor's going to do is she's going to help me. We're going to choose some names, and then you guys are going to we're going to provide you some gifts that you can take back in memory of Texas. So if you can get your coupons out there, the last 3 on here is 658. Who's got 658? All right.
Okay.
Come on up. Go ahead and you can open it. Okay.
Okay.
Connor's going to do this.
Okay. Here, I'll hold the bottom.
Put it up. What do we get?
Jump out? Oh, no, mine. Open up. Open up the box.
This is to keep you all warm at night here. You know, it's, actually open it up there. And it's,
Open it up. Oh, yeah.
It's not a destroyer restaurant. I think it's an aircraft carrier, but you know, we don't.
This one.
Right.
Very nice.
Okay, next we got is 685. Is that the one? 68. Who's got 685? All right.
You get the official Texas.
Was that a bucket?
Okay, 693.
That's me.
All right.
Ooh, Texas Longhorn.
Okay, lucky 671. All right, come on up. What do we?
You have a welcome aboard Navy notepad.
672. All right. Like I said, you stir them up enough.
Hey, dude. We have a Texas spoon rest.
694.
694.
694?
Yep, 694. All right. Joyce. All right.
Okay, I have to tell you, for those of you who are not from Texas, armadillos are nocturnal animals, and of course you're going to see them when you drive them at night, but you do see them at day after they've been run over by cars. And they're called roadkill, that's right. Thank you.
661.
Hey.
We have U.S. Navy band with Victory at Sea.
Wow.
686.
Over here.
686. All right, Johnny K.
Johnny K, we have Texas two-step wild corn chowder.
Is it Kurt?
662. Who's got 662? Nobody?
682.
662.
Yeah, we couldn't find her chili powder.
Okay.
660.
667.
I got her some.
667.
Oh, is that me? Oh, I got it.
Oh, this is pretty looking.
Oh, I got it. Oh, just for mine. Yeah. All right. Okay, we got 667.
Where'd this go?
Who's got, there we go.
Oh,
Paul.
Dennis.
Bob? I don't know what's in here. Wait a second. Oh, here you go. Something to
Just
hang.
what I always wanted. Oh my, just what I always wanted.
657. All right, Connor. All right.
Connor, you have Texas barbecue rub.
Oh, boy.
Or barbecue.
673. What we got? 673.
Table. Yeah, that's
We
a
have
lucky table.
blue bonds on there.
697. 697? Okay. Oh, is that who's
Nobody's in there.
Oh, okay.
Nobody.
Okay, that's the
I'm getting hungry though.
670.
Nobody here.
Oh, nobody there. Okay. 669.
Nobody here.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I gotta stir these up a little better too. 682. All right, there we go.
Yeah, we don't need to take
I don't know what this is, Jess. You bought it. You have to open this up. I don't know what it is.
Oh, okay.
It's got salt and pepper shakers, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Is that what it is?
Open it up, look.
695. Right here. 69, all right.
Well, look.
Cowboy dip in both.
676.
Right here.
All right. Sarah.
Oh, Sarah, look at this. Oh my, you're lucky.
Okay, Sarah, you get a yeehaw Christmas one.
That really is. The wizard will love it.
666. Who's got 666? All right.
Oh.
All right, Jerry, what do you got here?
Gary, we have a Texas gentleman. Just what I need.
691. 691, all right. Norma,
We have Bubba's Bubble Bath. Has directions on the back say cook and eat 2 hours before bathing. For extra bubbles, eat hot peppers too.
Just what you always do, right?
677. 677, okay, we got right here. Oh.
We have Shirley. We have a Dallas Cowboy toothbrush.
Everybody needs some.
Support the boys.
683, you're doing pretty good this year, by the way. So, 683, or 683. Okay.
Here we go. We have some chili mix.
And 690. 690. Who's got 69? 69, all right.
Jerry.
Jerry.
Here, Jerry, you have Santa riding an armadillo.
674.
Gee, I got rid of my spurs.
Oh, okay, so that's another blank guy. 678.
That is really a cute.
Okay, don't mess with Texas playing cards.
Where's your playing cards there, Johnny?
Oh,
675. All right. Bill.
Bill, you have armadillo droppings. They are actually chocolate covered sunflowers.
Oh, that's good to know. 664. 664?
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, all right.
Oh, yeah, Jerry. Jerry, you have a Texas tree.
681? 681? There we go.
Go, Glenn.
You have Texas ice cubes.
I just iced it.
680? 680? All right, Curtis.
Curtis, are you a UT fan?
You will now.
Get ready for the regular shootout. For our visitors this Saturday, first Saturday in October, because there was coincides with State Fair, UT plays Oklahoma. Big game in the Cotton Bowl. Huge game. So you'll see when you go home tomorrow, when you go to the airport, it'll be covered in burnt orange or bright red. So,
684. 684. What do we got? All right. Got it?
here we have the freeloader fork. Have you ever seen this?
wow.
689? 689? Anybody, 680? Who's got 689?
You have a mug from Fort Hood, Texas?
All right, thank you.
668. 668? Okay. We got the lid.
Don't mess with Texas.
663? Who's got 663? Anybody?
You do. That's yours, Dennis.
I just had one. Is that
There it
you?
is.
There it is.
Oh, there's 662, yeah, so there's two there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, your name
Justice
there.
There we go.
Not trading with him.
Serious.
660?
Yeah.
660? Anybody? No?
That's
660?
That's
Probably right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
687? 687, anybody?
86 was here.
There was no 87. No.
687?
No,
Okay.
unless it was 88.
688? 688?
There you go.
Her, yeah,
behind you.
We have jumbo style, Texas style jelly beans.
Good.
659? Who's got 659?
Right here.
Nobody there. 692? Who's got 692? Anybody? I guess not.
Oh, you do?
You already called me once.
Yeah.
692?
Yeah.
Yeah, I already got one.
665. Who's got?
Oh, cool. I have a Texas, 33 ways to use your Texas bandana.
Oh, wow.
Who was not had? Who didn't get a? Whose number? Did everybody get a gift? Everybody got one? Okay. That concludes this part of the ceremony. I'm going to turn over to our president again.
I want to see this.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Let me. Janice has something to pass. Let me just grab that.
Got one more to go. Money.
There you
We'll start right here.
go. Okay.
You want to know
Oh,
what
thank
number
you.
it is?
This is a 3-piece chicken.
Well, that's what I'm telling you.
Y'all look like you're hungry yet.
All right. 3-piece chicken. This is cool.
Oh, we made something.
Janice, did you make these?
Is he a woodworker?
Oh, you did?
3-piece chicken dinner. There you go. 3-piece chicken dinner. Is there any?
Yes.
Yeah.
You were busy.
So much. Thank you.
Apple's got, oh my God. That was word. That's all.
I'll skip you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Open it up.
Goodness gracious, look at that.
Okay, listen up.
Yeah, let's do the money.
Thank you, Janice.
We've got, we don't need tickets for the
Great.
Believe it or not, I found 2 more of these old Navy cups.
That's great.
And this one happens to say, awarded in appreciation to Dennis J. Duffy. U.S.S. Rall, DE 304.
Thank you very much. Okay, Bill, we gotta have an instant replay there. Oh, okay, we can do that.
Look at Sarah.
All right, thank you.
I'll tell you, Dennis and Connie did such a job that this is absolutely a minimum.
Okay.
This one happens to say awarded in appreciation to Connie Duffy. Oh, I'll tell you. There you go.
Now can we do the money?
The things that I have left, Tuesday night, we had a 5-minute business meeting. And one thing that we had to decide was where we're going to meet next year. And I thought we were on our way and somebody moved the table to tonight. So we have that order of business. We have a nomination for Albany, New York. U.S.S. Slater has been updated and it would give us a chance to see that. And I believe I had, where was the other one? Chattanooga, okay. Are there any other nominations for a place to meet in 2008?
Okinawa.
Why would you want to go to Okinawa?
I was a joke. Just go to black.
Well, at one time, we had a number of our crew members buried there. They have all been moved. They are not there anymore. All have gone home except 2 that are in the bunch bowl in Hawaii. Believe it or not.
I believe it.
No more nominations. Then the nominations are closed. All those in favor of Chattanooga, what, I got one other thing. We need discussion. We're going to play this by Robert's rules. Is there any discussion on these nominations? There being none, we'll move it.
No, where is Chattanooga?
We closed the discussion.
I apologize.
How many people would like to go to Chattanooga, Tennessee? That's good. How many would?
Oh, somebody got one for Chattanooga. Did I see that?
Well, then,
Well,
nobody.
I asked for hands. No hands.
No way.
Well, does anybody want to go to Albany, New York? I believe we'll go to Albany, New York.
Let's
See. Oh, there's one other announcement. Dennis and Connie are going to a wedding. 26th?
27th.
The 27th? Would you care to enlighten us?
Well, yeah, my daughter's getting married at the Air Force Academy. She's marrying another Air Force Academy grad, so we got something to do in a couple of weeks. Yeah, we're really excited about it. I actually am going to be able to fit into my mess dress, that I wore. So
That's all you should order the new one.
I've got a new one, but anyways, so we're looking forward to the military wedding.
Old one doesn't fit?
The old one doesn't fit. It shrunk when it was in the closet. That's what happened.
Liz?
Can we make sure that the Colonel and the Mrs. Burchett can come to Albany? Maybe he can get leave from.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be sure to send you greetings.
I think the Army might have something to say.
Well, Terry Falls.
That's true. I'd like to mention that when we had the reunion in Denver, Dennis and Connie's daughter was at the academy, and she and a friend attended our reunion in Denver.
Right.
So we've all met her.
Yep.
Lovely lady. Takes to have her mom and dad. Anybody wants to go to the hospitality room, we'll open it up. So I want to thank you, Colonel, and thank you for joining us. I hope everybody had a...
We're not done yet.
We have one.
Charles?
Yes. Do we have a coordinator for the reunion in Albany?
We do. We have a volunteer.
Really?
Now that we decided to go to Albany, we have a volunteer, a very, very experienced volunteer, and that's Dennis Duffy.
With all these admirals around here, I think that you guys would step up to the plate.
We're at the full rank of it.
You will.
We have one more order of business.
And that's a drawing.
That's right.
You want my
Now.
number just in
Okay, this is your very last chance to buy tickets for the 50-50 drawing. Who wants to buy it? Buy the ticket.
You can.
No more sales?
no more sale.
And Connor's gonna draw the lucky number?
He certainly is.
Somebody, what did we have, $110?
$110 is in the pot.
So right now,
Was in the pot. The guy that was actually collecting took off with it. Johnny caught it. Johnny caught it, and I think he has the money.
okay, anyway, the winner gets 50%, so $55. The ticket drawn here is worth $55. Connor's gonna draw the ticket.
And
Can we
the
buy
other
more tickets?
$55 goes to me so I can pay my hotel bill.
Can we buy more tickets?
Close your eyes.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, wait a while.
Wait a
Somebody
while,
wants to
more
buy more
tickets.
tickets.
John, wait a while, wait a minute.
We're selling tickets.
Here,
Tickets right here.
Johnny.
Come on, sell them some tickets.
Here, get them to sell.
Oh,
You're not buying the money.
Oh, really?
Can I buy one too?
Oh, absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
get 7 for $5.
what?
Or $1.
Oh my God! You may as well sit down, young man. Johnny, you'll have to come over here and help me tonight. Put that money over with. Well, okay. You hold on to this.
See what you started?
I don't want to. So, we better just take this whole road.
Who's buying tickets? Oh, where the hell were you earlier?
Yeah, I've got some change.
Just use control, please.
How much change?
How many do you want?
I want all of them, all 50.
No.
Wait a while.
Yeah. And it's like 350. They can't count that high.
That's the problem.
You counting?
No. Well, is that what you were?
You thought we were gonna do it, huh?
Buying 50 tickets.
50, huh?
Give me the $50.
$50
Where is it?
worth of tickets. It's $50.
That's what I said, $50 worth of tickets.
Paul, bartender wants some tickets.
Oh, he does?
He wants 100.
Okay. You can start with the other side.
I mean, wait, there's no reason.
It's gonna take forever.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Come on over here, son.
That's a good idea.
You like to work
Put them off
with
one
wood?
at a time.
You like working with wood?
Oh, yeah.
One at a time.
He doesn't do.
You like furniture.
Oh, yeah, be sure, be sure that he doesn't pull from the other side.
You use your bandsaw on it?
You need to hold this.
Absolute last chance. How many more? What tickets?
You get your own.
But the bartender's going to get
All right, these are the ones that.
Better wait to see if they got any left.
One number got it, got turned off.
I'm gonna try to get the smaller.
That's true.
As long as it goes to the ship. Are you worried about them baseball games?
The Diamondbacks. The one last.
The ante just went up. Don't you want some more tickets?
You're keeping the right side.
I'll take 10 for $1.
What have you been smoking?
So you start out what and end what?
Did you get yours?
Well, let's see.
Guess who the winner is?
Hey, no sweat.
Nobody.
That may not happen. You never can tell.
That's right.
I've seen where take
We'll let Connor do the shuffling.
You're gonna have to run around and check
Yes,
the board too.
He's gonna do the shuffling.
shuffle and then they reshuffle.
I want him to shuffle.
Everybody fix a fight.
Oh, yeah,
Bartender
okay.
wants a bite.
I don't want sticky fingers over there doing it.
Hey, you taught me everything I know.
How many? Who wants to buy?
That's fine, go ahead.
$5?
No, it's fine.
Oh, it's fine? Oh, okay. That's all right. These are yours, so.
He could be doing this.
Wait, well, after he takes it up, then he gives it to you.
Stir it up, Tom. Stir it up.
Get that fly swatter and stir it up with it.
Roll, you're going to get me down the street.
We gotta announce how much we have now and how much is going, and whether or not we wanna have 2 drums. If possible, you wanna have
How
2
much
drums.
money do we have in the fly?
No, you can't, no. You can't change the rules and the
Rules now.
$160.
Well, then you cut into the Rall portion.
No, you wouldn't. No, not out of it.
Just draw the numbers. No, you don't change the rules.
That's fine.
Are you all ready?
Here we go.
2, 3. And it's to me, Connor. The number is, oh, I think I got the winners. 599401.
401.
How much to put in?
$3.97.
I need to buy some more.
Nowhere near.
The winner, 401. You gotta be kidding.
You owe me $50.
That's a valid number.
I want to redraw.
It's still in the family.
Okay.
Even with them buying it, it stays in the family.
Okay.
All right, Tommy.
That's
You're gonna donate that to the Rall, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
I don't need any.
Okay.
It was your $50 you had to give.
Too late to buy a ticket.
To me, he voluntarily gave it to me.
You
Is there anybody that
I
has
don't even
anything
have $50.
for the good of the order? Anything you'd like to announce or say? Going once, going twice. Okay. Until we meet again. Bon voyage.
Wait, Sarah's not gonna tell a joke.
Sarah,
Sarah.
tell them about that Texas joke.
Well,
Or
Yeah.
one
I
of your
tell a
jokes.
fraction different than I did the other night because I can remember the way that I heard it first.
I'm born and raised here, so you
Oh,
be
you're born
very
and raised?
careful.
Oh, well, it's really good. You know, they talk about everything being so big in Texas.
The wizard is right behind.
Oh,
You better move over here.
But this fella had stopped in Texas and he went into this restaurant and he ordered a steak. And he said he wanted just a small steak. Well, when it came, it was on one of those great big platters that you put your turkey on in Thanksgiving. He said, man, I just ordered a small steak. He said, well, you're in Texas and that is a small steak. And he ordered a short beer. Well, when it came, it was in like a pitcher, you know, and a gallon size. And he said, hey, I just ordered a small beer. He said, you're in Texas, everything is big in Texas. Well, after he drank that big container of beer, he had to go to the restroom. And he was kind of out of it by then, you know. And the guy told him, said, well, you go out that door and down the hall, and it's the lights door on the left. Well, after drinking that beer, he was kind of woozy. When he went down there, he opened the door on the right. And when he did, the lights was out, and he stepped in, and he fell into the swimming pool. And he started hollering, don't flash it, don't flash it.
You have another one of those.
You're the wizard.
I can
You have
see
another one.
it.
You have to.
No, oh, well, that's funny. I can't think of another one.
Come on, sir.
You're the Ku Klux Klan.
Pete said his brother's a preacher.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay,
need some
well,
new material.
okay, well,
Do it in the foreign language.
She's speaking a foreign language.
you know, every word to me is at least a 2-syllable word, you know, and more. But anyway,
Mower.
this fella, he was a new preacher in town, and he went and he knocked on this door, and this lady came to the door. She said, Conway Twitty. And he said, no, I'm the new preacher down the road, and I just came to invite you to the service Sunday. He goes down and knocks on another door, and the woman comes to the door, and she said, Conway Twitty. He says, no, I'm just the new minister down the street, and I just came to invite you to the service Sunday. Well, he goes down a little further, knocks on the door, and this beautiful blonde comes to the door in this sheer negligee, and she says, Conway Twitty. He says, hello, darling.
You're the Ku Klux Klan.
Okay, who can top those?
You can do
She
that.
can.
Ku Klux Klan.
You can top those.
Well, I tell you all, for the ones that's not been here, this is just my husband, and we'll be celebrating our 1-year anniversary on the 15th. Now, my late husband was on the board of the Shield. Now, this fella here is just an Army guy, but and he's a Yankee too, so
Not just a Yankee, I'm a Yam Yankee.
yeah, you are. But somebody had requested that I tell this on him. You know, last week I could tell there was just something wrong, you know. And I said, well, Bill, what in the world is the matter? And I hope the older people know that, you know, the younger ones won't know, but anyway, about the Ku Klux Klan. He said, well, I am upset with you. I understand that you're telling people that I belong to the Ku Klux Klan. And I said, well, honey, I hadn't told a soul that you belonged to the Ku Klux Klan. All I said was that you was a wizard under the sheet.
Everybody in
One more.
Oh, my.
Oh, there you go.
Very
Oh,
good.
here we go.
I'll tell you how I met him. I was working in this restaurant, and he came in at my table, and he said, you know, you got a sign out there on the door that if I order anything that you can't fix, that you'll give me $500. I said, yes, this is an exclusive restaurant. We can fix anything. So he gave me his order, and I went back into that. And I told the manager, I said, you know that you might as well get ready to give that fella at my table $500. And he said, well, why? What did he order? And I said, well, he ordered an elephant ear sandwich. and the boss, he said, well, what? You mean to tell me we're out of elephant ears? I said, no, but we are out of them big buns. Oh, Belky went into the restaurant the other day, And when he gave the girl his order, she went back in the kitchen and she says, you know that fella at my table, he's crazy. And the cook said, well, what did he order? Said, well, he ordered 2 headlights, 4 hubcaps, and a quart of oil. And the cook said, oh, that's that Paul Bilke. He's up to something again. He said, what he really wants is 2 eggs over light, 4 pancakes, and a large coffee. So she goes back out there and she sets a bowl of beans down in front of Paul. Paul said, hey, that's not my order. I didn't order beans. And the waitress said, no, I know you didn't, but I thought I'd fill you up with gas before I brought your car out. But you know why we were dating, while Bill and I were dating, he was going to take me on this train ride. And so we went through this tunnel, and it was long and dark. You couldn't see a hand in front of your face. And so he just threw his arms around me and gave me a big kiss. And when we came out from in the tunnel, he was kind of flustered, you know, and he said, turned to me and he said, you know, it cost $40 million just to build that one tunnel. I said, yeah, but it's worth every penny of it. Oh, we were out too, and one night, and all of a sudden, he threw his arms around me and started hugging me and kissing me. I said, Bill Wood, if you don't stop that, I'm going to call the law. Well, he didn't stop it, and I said, law. Oh, but it was sweet the way he proposed to me. He said, let's get married in the morning. He said, that way if it don't work out, the whole day won't be wasted. Oh, my. Oh. I tell you, if I don't have some kind of notes, I would get. Oh, my.
Well, that was good. Don't rack your brain.
Oh, but I asked him. I said just yesterday, I asked him, I said, will you love me when I'm old and wrinkled? And he said, yes, I do. But he did tell me, he said, I am so glad that the Lord put you in my life. And I said, yes, and I am your punishment. Didn't I tell you that?
I said, Lord, punish me, Lord.
Straight man.
She is the best wife, I tell you. I have to be careful what I ask her. What she asks I want. She said, you want this? Now I just say no because she'll get it for me. If I say yes, I got to be real careful.
Oh.
But then she'll give me something for food. Do you want some of this?
Did I?
It's on my plate. You don't ask me if I want it.
But I'll tell you, you know, I felt real bad yesterday. You know, Dennis dropped me off at Walmart to get some batteries. And as I was checking out, somebody rammed me from the back with a bucket. Boy, I was so mad, I turned around, gave him the meanest look I could. This fella says, you are the ugliest woman I ever saw. I said, well, you're the drunkest man I ever saw. He said, yeah, but said tomorrow I'll be over mine. He pays me a compliment lot. You know, he told me tonight that I look like a breakfast freak. I know that's what he meant, but that's not exactly what he said. He said, Sarah, you look like the end of a hard winter. That's true. Somebody asked him last week, said, Bill, what would you do if you came in and found Sarah in the arms of another man? He said, well, I'd just kill his seeing-eyed dog. with dogs. Never seen two fellas that was out walking their dogs. And so they came to this bar. One of them said, let's go over there in this bar and get a drink. The other said, nah, they'll never let us in there with these dogs. And so this one said, well, you just do what I do. So he puts on these dark sunglasses and he walks over to the bar and the doorman says, you can't come in here with that dog. And he said, oh, but this is my C&I dog. And he said, well, all right, come on in. So the other fella, he puts on his sunglasses and he walks over there and the doorman says, hey, you can't come in here with that dog. And he said, yeah, but said, this is my C&I dog. And he said, doorman said, well, I never have seen a C&I Chihuahua. And that guy said, what? You mean they gave me a Chihuahua? Oh, my. Oh, y'all heard these over and over.
They're still funny.
Bill came home here just recently, and you know, I thought I'd kind of spice things up around the house. So when he came in, I was standing in the middle of the floor, and all I had was this saran wrap kind of wrapped around my body. And he came in and looked, and he said, what? Leftovers again? Well, you know, there is one that he wants me to tell before I quit. And, you know, back years ago, though, really, I mean, I was a good wife. When my husband came in, the paper was laying there by his favorite chair, TV was on, his slippers were there, supper was cooked. But you know, after we'd been married for a while, some friends of mine came over and invited me to go to a women's lib group, and it was real popular. So I went to several women's lib groups. Well, one day he came in from work, and he said, hey, said, my slippers aren't by the chair, the TV's not on, the paper's not there. I said, well, the paper's out in the yard. If you want it, just go get it. And your slippers are in there where you took them off this morning, and your arm's not broke, you can turn the TV on. He said, well, what about my supper? And I said, well, it's in there on the stove. Just help yourself. And he said, well, how would you like it if you didn't see me around here for 2 or 3 days? I said, okay by me. And you know, sure enough, it was 2 or 3 days, and I could see him just a little bit out of one eye. Oh, my. Here a while back, Bill was out walking in the woods. Bill was out walking in the woods, and so he heard this little voice. It said, kiss me and I'll turn into a beautiful prince. And he looked down, and there was this frog. And he picked the frog up. And the little frog said, well, kiss me and I'll turn into a beautiful princess. Well, he puts the frog in his pocket. Little old boy said, didn't you hear me? I said, if you'd kiss me, I would turn into a beautiful princess and I'd be all yours. And Bill says, yeah, but you know, at my age, I'd rather have a talking frog. Oh, my. But you know, when he was a boy, you know, of all these pets you can have, when he was a boy, he had a pet zebra, and he named him Spot. Oh, my, that just gets me. But you know, I thought he was pretty well educated until one day he told me that he thought that asphalt was a hip disease. Oh my. Well, the little boy's gone. I'll tell y'all one more. We were talking today about he worked and how bad things were out on the street and all. But you know, back when I was working, things was kind of bad out on the parking lots and everything. And so one day the boss said, now, if any of the women in the office want to go to the police station and take a self-defense course, you know, we'll send you. So several of us went to the police station. Well, they was giving us this self-defense course about looking around and spotting people. And the instructor said, now, if there's ever an assailant coming towards you, all you need to do is take your fingers and you poke him in the eye, and then you kick him in the groin. And I said, well, let me get this straight. All I got to do is to poke him in the eye and kick him in the groin. And he said, yeah. I said, you got that right. I said, yeah, but won't that make his eyes pop back Oh, there was these two girls.
Oh, you have another one?
No, two girls that inherited the farm. Is that when you're talking about?
Oh, I don't know anything.
That inherited the farm.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
see, the farm was about to go under, and somebody said, now, if you'll go down to Texas,
He was a farmer, don't forget.
Texas,
Oh,
Texas
careful.
and get this bull and start raising cattle, you know, you can make a profit off this farm. And so she went down to Texas, but then she told her sister, said, I'm going to go down there, and if I can find a bull, I'll buy it, and then I'll telegraph you back. And you need to get a truck, hook up a trailer to it, and come down and get it. So she goes down to Texas, and she finds this prize bull, and she goes to send the telegram. Well, the fella says, well, now that telegram is going to cost you $20. And she said, oh, I've only got a couple dollars left now. And he said, well, you can't send but one word. She thought for a minute, and she said, well, send her the word comfortable. And he said, well, how in the world is she going to know to get the truck and you know, and the horse van and come down here and get this bull? And she said, well, you know, my sister is a blonde, and she talks real slow, and she's going to read that, come for the bull. Is that the way?
Very good. That was.
Thank you, Candy.
It would have been the same.
Bill,
What's her name, Liz? Was want me to. Now I hadn't heard this, and I don't know if you all have heard this or not. But these people was on Jay Leno, and he was wanting to know their most embarrassing date they ever had. And so the winner, she described her worst date experience. Said there was absolutely no question as why she took the first prize. She said it was midwinter, snowing and quite cold. And the guy had taken her skiing in the mountains outside Salt Lake City. It was a day trip, not an overnight trip. It was a day trip, and they were strangers after all, and truly had never met before. The outing was fun, but relatively uneventful until they were headed home late that afternoon. They were driving back down the mountain when she gradually began to realize that she should have not had that extra coffee. They were about an hour away from anywhere with a restroom in the middle of nowhere. Her companion suggested she try to hold it, which she did for a while. Unfortunately, because of the heavy snow and slow going, there came a point where she told him that he had better stop and let her go beside the road, or it would be in the front seat of his car. They stopped, and she quickly crawled out beside the car, yanked her pants down and started. In the deep snow, she didn't have a good footing, so she let her bottom rest against the rear fender to steady herself. Her companion stood on the side of the car watching for traffic, and indeed was a real gentleman and refrained from peeking. All she could think about was the relief she felt, despite the rather embarrassing nature of the situation. Upon finishing, however, she soon became aware of another sensation. As she bent to pull up her pants, the young lady discovered her buttocks were firmly glued to the car's fender. Oh, thoughts of tongue frozen to poles immediately came to mind as she attempted to disengage her flesh from the icy metal. It was quickly apparent that she had a brand new problem due to the extreme cold. Horrified by her plight and yet aware of the humor of the moment, she answered her date's concern about what is taking you so long with a reply that she was freezing her butt off and in need of some assistance. He came around the car as she tried to cover herself with her sweater, and then, as she looked imploring into his eyes, he burst out laughing. She too got the giggles, and when they finally managed to compose themselves, they assessed her dilemma. Obviously, as hysterical